This segment brought to you by Kingstar Farm. Time to Reign, new in 2021.
Krissy Harris set up Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association several years ago to provide equestrian riders with competitions and great prize money to encourage the uptake of thoroughbreds in horse sport. And the result has been fantastic as TSHA continues to spread its wings across Australia, encouraging riders to give thoroughbreds a new life and be rewarded by some great sponsors from within the racing and breeding industry. It's fabulous to see Stonewall back and the events happening for thoroughbred riders and the horses themselves. Tell me what it's been like, because you've been waiting for so long through the COVID sort of lockdown to be back out competing.
It's really, the first show is actually quite scary because we've all done an amazing job riding and working our horses at home. And when you've got no competition, you seem to think that you're a little better than you are. So we all come out with great expectations, and then competition sorts us all out. So it's just lovely to be here.
And so many thoroughbreds and so many familiar names. I mean, Jeff Penza and even Michelle, his wife, who's won a class too. It's really great to see, Jess Ryan, Blake Ryan's wife, and so many others that are well known in the racing world that are here going on to the next step with these thoroughbreds.
Well, it's just one of the nicest things. You know, take Jeff and Michelle. Michelle actually won the class today riding Jeff's horse. So Jeff might not think it's going to be a 120, 130 horse. Michelle's really, really happy to take it and go the lower classes and win. So, you know, unlike racing, why the Thoroughbred Sport Horse works and jumping works is that the professionals take them from the lower grades to the higher grades to teach them. And then once they get a little bit older and their joints aren't so great, then you can give them back to the amateurs and the juniors, and then they jump back to the lower grades again. So, you know, our competition horses have a great lifespan, and they can go from the little ring up to the main ring, back to the little ring. So first of all, you've got to keep all the rails up. And once you've kept them up, then the trick is to go faster than the next person. So jockeys like Jeff, they understand speed.
Very much so. And as far as your sponsors too, I mean, we have some new sponsors, Frank and Christine Cook. Their fence isn't quite ready yet, but it's really good to see, you know, Chris Waller, Gay Waterhouse, the Freedmans, Newcastle Jockey Club, Roderick Lodge, all those people within the racing and breeding industry are still here with Thoroughbred Sport Horse.
It's just so lovely because they understand both sides. They understand the horses and the fact that there is no key performance indicator or anything like that in what we're doing. All we're doing is trying to give horses a separate career so that people can look after them for the rest of their days. And these guys, they all have their heart on the sleeve and they help.
Well, it was a lovely round on Aviator. I mean, it's so hard, isn't it, coming out of COVID, coming into these competitions. Tell me about how you felt coming out here today.
I'm going to be honest, I felt a little underprepared with sales recently with Blake's business and COVID. It was sort of put on the back burner a little bit because we had the racehorses in work. But it was good to be back out, and he put his best foot forward and jumped a clear round for me. It felt like it got a little quick at some stages, but I was really happy with his effort.
And I remember that family, Dynamic Flyer and 3 Bianco Flyer, Bianco Lady, beautiful pedigree behind him, but also a link to your family.
So he is out of a marauding mare, and my dad actually used to ride marauding all his track work at Rose Hill, so it's a lovely little link. I didn't actually realise it until I went to register him with Thoroughbred Sport Horses Australia. So yeah, it was a really nice little link. My dad got very excited when I told him he was out of a marauding mare.
It's funny, isn't it? There are so many links really between the racing and breeding world and the equestrian world, and all this we see here today is really, I guess, trying to get people to take on thoroughbreds because they are just so great at what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, they're so smart, they're quick learners. I feel like they've got actually an amazing grounding in racing. They're broken in young, they do get time when they need time, but they go onto tracks, they're exposed to other horses, they go through tunnels, they go to the races, have to get tied up in stalls. So it is a really good grounding for them when they come out to shows and they have to stand at floats and things. and most of them take to it like duck to water. They really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm noticing, that you can actually maybe not ride them for a while and then, you know, within reason, get back on them, and they sort of pick up where they left off.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing in racing. Like they're used to going out for long spells when they need a break and then being put back into work. So it's not out of routine for them to have a long break and then come back in. So for me, with the two kids, Aviator had a whole year off at one stage when I was pregnant, and then starting a new business, he had a little bit more time off because we were busy working. So I mean, I'm very lucky. He's got a beautiful temperament, but I think most thoroughbreds do when given the time and the opportunity.
The plans going forwards, I mean, we know you have the National Championships coming up later on in 2022. Tell us a bit about the program going forwards, because you are, of course, now interstate. You have a number of competitions too, so you really are expanding.
Queensland and South Australia are going really, really well for us. And sneak preview, hopefully, if we can get it done in time, Inglis are going to have a thoroughbred show at Warwick Farm. So that'll hopefully be happening just before the Australia Day races in January. So it's a lot to gear up to get started, but Australian Turf Club have been amazing. You know, they're trying to help us with the infield. So between Australian Turf Club and Inglis, we really, really hope to get the show off the ground in January. Not in January, it might be a little later, but 100% all effort is going in to getting this new one done in January. So really looking forward to expanding, you know, to a couple of different areas around Sydney, and having thoroughbred only shows is going to be a real thing in the next couple of years.
I think they'll be surprised about how much the thoroughbred enjoys it and how relaxed they are. People think that sometimes they can be hyped up and a little fizzy, and you'll see these horses go out there, enjoy their work, relaxed and happy, and it's a great initiative by Inglis and the whole ATC to actually put it at a track. And I'm sure you'll see lots of nice horses there.
It's something we've looked at overseas and seen a lot of the well-known horses like Purple Moon with the retired racehorses over in the UK, and so many, they'll come out and they'll parade and do stuff. But overseas we've seen this with jumping competitions on a race day or leading into a race day. It's so important, isn't it? You know, it's lovely to see the old horses led around, but to see them actually doing something just creates so much interest, I think, for people in racing and for the equestrian people that are involved.
I love that whole idea of the cross-pollination between the racing people, not actually ever really letting go of their love for the thoroughbred. Sure, they love racing, but they've never let go of their love for the thoroughbred, and that's what happens when they transfer over to thoroughbred sport horses.
It's refreshing. It's nice not just to go to the races and see people in their work environment. It's nice to just go out, be able to enjoy yourself, and I think the horses really do enjoy themselves. So we're all here, we're all got each other's backs, and if anyone's ever worried or nervous or needs to walk a course with someone, we're all around each other to help each other out. We sponsor a couple of classes. We actually started last year when I started getting a bit more serious about my show jumping and getting a bit more time to do it as the kids got older. So Blake was more than happy to put his name forward and start sponsoring, and actually Krissy in turn took a share in one of our racehorses this year, so that was really nice to know that it was the favour was repaid, and we've got a great relationship with Krissy, and she's always there to lend an ear or an arena when we need one.
And also looking toward the national championships that Thoroughbred Sport Horse are looking at for next year. That's a big incentive for people to take on the breed.
Yeah, and you know what? It's going to be such a big show. There are so many different disciplines that are going to be put forward, so it's not just show jumping, and there's the end of year championships coming up, and there's thoroughbred classes there, and I mean Krissy's done such an amazing job with Heath to get this place ready, so I'm looking forward to March next year. My horse is already in work now, so there's no rest for the wicked, and we look forward to next year.
The thing that I love about what we're doing is because you can, and as an entry point for show jumping, the cheapest way you can get into it at the moment is to buy a thoroughbred, and we've got classes for you. But those kids that do that, and they might be a little bit on struggle street and mum and dad might not have that much money, those kids are the ones that are going to transfer as workers to the thoroughbred industry. So I think hopefully the whole thing's going to go around in circles. So, you know, cheers to the racing industry. I think it's just what we're doing in conjunction with those guys, it's just really working. It's really starting to take off. So, and you know, people like you, without a bit of sponsorship and without recognition, it's basically because we've been on your show a couple of times that people ring up and go, hey, that's a great idea. You know, so thanks to Thoroughbreds I go.